anticipation is building and building and building, and boom, it finally happens. That's what it feels like here downtown. Some breaking news now tonight out of northern Indiana. Authorities are on the scene of a deadly shooting in Benton County. Here's the thing, that's not just the Big Ten that we're talking about here. The NCAA announced it's going all Indy in 2026. It will start first here with the NIT semifinals on April 2nd at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then we got this, the D2, D3 championship. That's Pennsylvania. And if you get that to the Democrats, you see where Harris then jumps to 22. If you change it to Republicans, a further lead out there for former President Trump. So we'll wait to see what happens. What kind of candidate should they put on the ticket to maybe solidify turning Hamilton County blue? We're here outside of the Legacy Theater at the Indiana State Museum, and this space is so special. El poder de posibilidad. What a story. Safety has to be top of mind. So what will be the final factor here in whether we see a delay or even a postponement for the race?
Well, the safety of our customers is the most important.
Allen may likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Right now, we're joined with Wes McQuaid and Max Lewis, who have been covering this case from the very beginning. They're joining me here in Delphi as we broadcast right outside of this courtroom. What would you do specifically as governor to help small towns like Andrews address these critical needs? And we'll start first with Mr. Chambers. You have 60 seconds. Thank you. We'll take it from you before we get to FCC.
I was going to say, I thought we were talking about the FCC.
A little bit nervous.
You didn't even do that dance class. I was like,
Beat drops like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, we all felt the same way.
They were such a great accessory. But I couldn't do the job of dismissal ceremonies without being able to turn the page.
Now
We are in totality. Something so moving about this.
I can't believe this.
Take them off.
You can take them off, yeah.
Here we are. I think this just reminds you of the wonder of the world, right?
Wasn't it?
Just right before this, to see this crowd all united as one. We have 33 countries here at IMS, and a silence all between all of us in that moment.
Fireworks.
I love it. The city gained tentative approval today for a special taxing district. So if I'm a taxpayer and I hear that, why should that officer still be on the force?
Well, we have to look at that, obviously.
And Congressman, I know you just spoke specifically to what your county is doing, but to hold your feet to the fire there, so does Tyson hold any responsibility, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have to do something kind in her honor, please do it. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jennifer Leith there exhibiting such strength after just moments ago learning of that verdict, a guilty verdict, but mentally ill for Elias Dorsey, who was charged with killing her daughter, Brianne Lee. That emotion in your voice. As a parent, how difficult has it been to deal with this during the time she was here with you and now after she's gone?
yeah,
You said we partied too hard.
yeah, it's just
We tried to
feeling
tame
pretty
it down
good.
a little bit.
Well, the music cranked up here. They're going to have live DJ music.
Can I get a little bit of noise for the Colts? A little bit louder for the Colts? It's time to vote. We've got 4 free tickets for our season home opener. On the runway today as a testament to their faith and answered prayer. And I want to hear a little rose for all of our heroes today.
Boy, if I look like that, I'll chisel. Now, see, now now I have something to work towards.
I'm going to make that my new profile.
It should
Yeah.
be, you know. Welcome, Dan Aldo. That's his name. That was pretty.
So all the fun is with purpose. Okay, you said that if we get behind them, we might be able to give them a little pet. Oh, and they're gone.
So you know this
Beairshelle
is what
Edmé. It is a big deal.
big deal. You know it's out.
Please.
Big deal, Edmé.
This is breaking news from the Fox 59 newsroom.
Joining you now for our News at 6 with breaking news. The jury has reached a verdict in the trial of the man accused of killing an IMPD officer. Officer Brianne Leith was killed during a domestic disturbance in 2020.
Yeah, Elias Dorsey is charged in her death, and he is in the courtroom right now as the judge is expected to reconvene court soon for the verdict. Our Eric Graves is standing by live with the very latest tonight. Eric?
I'm Eric Graves. Back to you.
Just to reiterate what we heard from Eric there, at the center of this trial, of course, Dorsey charged with murder, is this insanity plea and whether or not that takes a role, and if he in fact knew the actions he was taking, or if the mental illness that clinical psychologists had diagnosed him with, both here in the court and outside, if that may have been a part of what happened here. So nearly 3 years of the family waiting for answers, looking for justice and closure after the death of their daughter, their sister, a woman who had been in law enforcement for quite some time and comes from a Leo family, her mom and dad in law enforcement as well. So now that entire community, as well as Marion County, eyes on this courtroom as we wait for the judge to come in and for that jury to release their verdict.
All right, so we will certainly continue to watch those live pictures. We'll bring you right back to the court as soon as the jury enters the courtroom as that verdict gets read tonight.
And now we want to move to a different story with IMPD. Earlier this afternoon, they released video from a police-involved shooting last September. That shooting led to the death of a man named Darmon Graves Jr.
Yeah, state police say Graves was the suspect in an arson investigation and had also violated parole.
Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands up!
So again, that is video there edited by IMPD, just released here today, of the shooting that happened back in September. Officers moved in to detain Graves and give him first aid. We do want to get back now to this breaking news. Again, a verdict has been reached in the trial of Elias Dorsey, charged with killing a IMPD officer, Breanne Leith. We see the judge now has taken on to the bench, and we are waiting to hear what that verdict may be. So just to put into perspective, for 10 hours, this jury had this case deliberating, trying to figure out what that verdict would be. They took a break overnight around 3 a.m. to come back when they just simply could not come to a verdict. Yeah. And then sometime this afternoon around 1, they came back to the judge with several questions, which is a unique circumstance, with the judge seemingly now speaking. So let's listen onto this verdict now.
From the bailiff, the jury has reached a verdict. There were no questions from the jury.
So on all counts, guilty but mentally ill, which again was really the crux of this trial, his mental condition at the time of that deadly shooting in 2020.
And some of those felony counts include criminal recklessness, reckless homicide, again, several different counts and charges, but all of them coming back with a guilty verdict. And as we mentioned earlier this afternoon, just 5 hours ago, the jury had several questions about what was at the center here of this case, that mental health. And we do know the court-appointed psychologist had already deemed that he was mentally ill, perhaps even experiencing psychosis during this moment. But today, just moments ago, you heard it there, the jury said after all of the evidence listening to this, they still believe that Elias Dorsey is guilty, though mentally ill, of reckless homicide, murdering Officer Breanne Leith back in 2020.
That was the case. His defense attorney was pleading that he felt at that time someone was outside the door, that there were assassins outside the door, that he was mentally ill, that he didn't completely have awareness of what he was doing.
So we'll have continued coverage for you here on air, but in the meantime, we send you a break with more coverage coming up shortly after this. Again, joining you now with breaking news at 6. The jury has reached a verdict in the trial of the man you see here accused of killing an IMPD officer. Officer Breanne Leith was killed during a domestic disturbance that she was responding to in 2020. Elias Dorsey is charged in her murder and again now found guilty but mentally ill of all 6 counts related to what happened there that afternoon.
Reporting live here at the Criminal Justice Campus, Eric Graves, Fox 59 News.
Eric, thank you. And we know it will be, of course, an emotional moment moving forward, but this has been something the family has been looking toward for quite some time. Eric reminding us there that, again, this happened in April 2020. Now, he mentioned the sentencing, and there is a unique aspect to it because of that mental health piece. The prosecutors originally would have pursued a death penalty in a case like this, but it is off the table, and that is because of that clinical diagnosis of mental illness. Constitutionally, the prosecutors are not able to move forward with a death penalty sentence, so we'll see what happens next once that judge sets the sentencing date and what that ruling may be.
And again, his mental state really at the center of this trial and at this verdict tonight.
In the meantime, we also want to make sure we're covering some of our other big headlines, and the weather authorities forecast is one of them because we are going to see a pretty immediate shift here from this gorgeous weather we've had throughout the day, but back to winter. So as we take this live look across our city, Sherman Drive, and traffic moving pretty smoothly. It sounds like in the evening, though, Brian, we might have to bundle up and expect some changes on the road.
Yeah, how rude, right?
How rude is the understatement of the year. Yeah. Because what does Mother Nature do?
Interrupting our spring this
How
way,
dare she?
right?
Thanks, Brian. Let's get you live to court where Breanne Leith's mom is reacting now.
She's never going to be here again, but I hope it made her proud. I hope it made her proud.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Just thank you. Just, you know, if you see someone, an officer, tell them thank you. And just live your life. Live a life that's great, because she doesn't get to. So if you have to do something kind in her honor, please do it. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jennifer Leith there exhibiting such strength after just moments ago learning of that verdict, a guilty verdict, but mentally ill for Elias Dorsey, who was charged with killing her daughter.